Joe Biden's connection to Ukraine and all that money that flowed over to Hunter is now becoming more clear. We have our friends at Just the News put together a nice summary of various memos that were released now from the State Department that show that Joe Biden really didn't have any good reasons for demanding that Prosecutor Shokin be fired. We know that the Ukrainian government at this time was focused on this anti-corruption effort, and that's what Victor Shokin, the prosecutor seen here, was looking into, but Joe Biden wanted him gone. But a new memo says that Shokin was doing a great job. So why was Shokin fired then? Well, he was investigating corruption. He was doing a great job. He was just looking into the wrong corruption. Joe Biden's corruption, Hunter Biden's corruption. And so he needed to go because he was sniffing up Burisma, and they didn't like it. So this is what Joe Biden did. Little trip down memory lane. This is the phone call conversation that Joe Biden had with somebody from Ukraine. But before that call, this is Joe Biden confirming that he held U.S. government funds before firing Shokin.
I said, you're not getting the billion. I'm going to be leaving here. And I think it was, 6 hours? I said, I'm leaving in 6 hours. If the prosecutor's not fired, you're not getting the money. Oh, son of a bitch. Got fired.
Yesterday, I met to meet with the General Prosecutor Shokin. Yeah. I especially asked him to resign. As his position as a state person, he promised me to give me the statement on resignation. And 1 hour ago, he bring me the written statement of his resignation.
Great.
And this is my second step of keeping my promise.
I agree. Assuming that there is a new government and a new prosecutor general, I am prepared to do a public signing of the commitment for the $1 billion.
Biden says, given that you fired the guy, given that you did what I demanded you do, I said, fire him or I'm out of here. By golly, he's fired. Given that you've done that, I am now going to re-extend the loan.
Again, I'm not suggesting that that's what you want or don't want. I'm just suggesting that that's what we're prepared to do. And again, it wouldn't be finalized until, the INF pieces are written. Let me, when you and I finish speaking, let me huddle with my team, talk over what you and I just talked about. I agree with you, there is a sense of urgency here. Congratulations on getting a new prosecutor general. I know there's a lot more that has to be done, but I really think that's good. It's going to be critical for him to work quickly to repair the damage that Shokin did. And I'm a man of my word. And that now that the new prosecutor general is in place, we're ready to move forward in signing that new $1 billion loan guarantee.
Now that the new prosecutor general is in place, you fired the guy who was looking into Burisma that we wanted gone. We're ready to move forward with signing the $1 billion loan guarantee.
And I don't know how you want to go about that. I'll leave it up to you as to how you want that done and when you want it done.
All right, so there are the phone calls. We know exactly what they're doing there. I said, if you don't fire the guy I wanted gone, you don't get the money. Now, we're all asking ourselves, why did he want him gone? Was there a legitimate reason? Left says that this wasn't because he was investigating Burisma. Hunter was on Burisma, and Hunter was getting pressure from Burisma to use his daddy to get rid of the guy. They're saying, no, that's not that at all. Biden wanted him gone for independent purposes. He was just dedicated to rooting out corruption in Ukraine. And this was all above board, part of Joe Biden's vision for a corruption-free world. But that is obviously not true. Victor Shokin doing a great job, apparently. That's according to the State Department. New memos now undercut the Biden narrative that the Democrats sold during the impeachment scandal. This comes from our friends at Just the News. Here's what they say. Just weeks before the Biden administration, just weeks before then Vice President Joe Biden took the opposite action in late 2015, Joe Biden fired the prosecutor. A task force from State Treasury and Justice declared that Ukraine had made great progress, adequate progress on anti-corruption reforms and actually deserved the new $1 billion loan. Here's the memo. The point is that he was doing a good job and didn't need to be fired. Just the News got this memo. You see some of the people included on this. State.gov, USDOJ.gov, another DOJ, Executive Office of the President right here, Office of the Vice President right there, EOP, Executive Office of the President all over the place. They're saying, hey, the subject of this email is about the loan guarantee. We talked about this in the Situation Room Wednesday, 9:30, September 30th. This person sends the email, says, apologies for the repeat email. I understand some people are having trouble seeing the summary pasted in the body of the email. Please find it attached below. So she resends it. Look at all these people. State Department, State Department, State Department. All of them listed here. Here's the summary. Hey everybody, thanks for attending a productive meeting yesterday. It was agreed that the IPC concluded that 1, Ukraine has made sufficient progress on its reform agenda to justify a third guarantee. So then why did Joe Biden try to eliminate that? Ukraine has an economic need for the guarantee, and it is in our strategic interest to provide them one. As such, we recommend moving forward with a third loan guarantee in the near term, noting State Department's presence to issue the guarantee as late as possible to allow more clarity on the budget context and so on. They say we notionally approve the following proposed conditions precedent, meaning if they hit these things, we can give it to them. Macroeconomic stability, social safety net, anti-corruption with e-procurement, but with revised language that's more specific. So if they do these things, we'll give them the money. Rule of law, they say, but with a preference to better ensure and to set up an independent inspector general cannot easily be overturned, and that the independent inspector general is subject to oversight and accountability. But with a revision here, they say here the USAID working with the state and so on. The state must do this other thing. The DOJ is going to explore these options. The IPC recommends dropping from consideration the following things, and we're going to continue to search for a bunch of stuff, right? A lot of technical stuff. We're going to get input from the Department of Energy, and then we're going to host another meeting at the Situation Room. We'll send a separate invitation later on this morning. So it sounds like, right, they're ready to go. Couple things, the rule of law with the Prosecutor General's office to revise the CP. They want to set up an independent inspector general. The decision to do it cannot be overturned. Okay, so I wanted to see if there's anything about Shokin in here. Is there anything in here that says Shokin needs to be fired or Shokin's doing a bad job or anything? No. It's all saying that you just have to continue doing what you're doing, essentially. They've made sufficient progress. We're going to renew the loan. So that was gathered from Just the News, and they say the recommendation is one of several U.S. government memos that was gathered by Just the News over the last 36 months. They've been firing off FOIA requests and congressional inquiries, and this stuff has been coming back. There's been this long-held narrative that Biden was conducting official U.S. policy when he was doing this. He threatened to withhold the money, the $1 billion, and we're all saying, why? And he said, my corruption. At the time the threat was made, Shokin's office was conducting an increasingly aggressive corruption investigation into Burisma. The State Department was saying, go root out corruption. He's doing it. They were looking into an energy firm of the State Department deemed to have been engaged in bribery, and that employed Hunter Biden. Hunter was getting $83,000 a month for just being there. New details on the impact of the probe have now emerged. Shokin was rattling Burisma. So Burisma was putting pressure on Hunter to get daddy to do something. We've got more memos. They say senior State Department officials actually said that they were impressed by Shokin's work. They sent a conflicting message to Shokin before he was fired. They invited his staff to Washington for a strategy session. They saying, hey, we're impressed with your office's work. U.S. officials faced pressure from Burisma emissaries in the United States. Burisma wanted the corruption allegations to go away, and they feared the energy firm had made 2 bribery payments to Ukraine to settle their cases and over to Shokin. A top U.S. official in Kyiv blamed Hunter for undercutting U.S. anti-corruption policy through his dealings with Burisma, right? State Department says no corruption. Hunter's in the middle of the corruption. Shokin's investigating corruption. He catches Hunter in it. Hunter asks Daddy to get rid of him. Daddy does it using his power as VP, using $1 billion. During Trump's first impeachment, state officials testified that Hunter's acceptance of a job created a conflict of interest, but they said it didn't impact U.S. policies. But in private, a classified email shared with Just the News, one of the top U.S. officials in the Kyiv embassy told then Ambassador Marie Yovanovitch at the end of the Obama administration that Hunter had, in fact, impacted the U.S. anti-corruption agenda. Here's an email from Kent, November 2016. This one was sent Tuesday, 8:30 in the morning, from George Kent, the subject being a meeting request. They say, Ambassador, it's to somebody that's been redacted. Ambassador, since there is a Blue Star angle and CEO coming to town, also to Jorgen Andrews. Wow, okay. It says, big long message. Ambassador, there's a backstory here. Bunch of CEOs, COOs came for the purpose of a meeting. We have the FBI and MI5 are in on the case, working on asset recovery. Lawyers are involved. They can flip a UK judge to get money unfrozen. Whoa. February 2015, I'm asking them who can shut down the case. I asked him if I could speak with him, and that the real issue on my mind was that someone in Washington needed to engage VP Biden quietly and say that his son Hunter's presence on the Burisma board undercut the anti-corruption message that the VP were advancing in Ukraine, because Ukrainians heard one message from us and then saw another set of behavior with the family association with a known corrupt figure whose company was known for not playing by the rules in the oil and gas sector. I told Dan I'd be happy to share the call with him. He was doing due diligence on this issue to make the case to Hunter. I never heard from Sally. Right, they're all trying to root out corruption. The vice president's son is on the board of one of the most corrupt companies in Ukraine, and Joe Biden fires the prosecutor who's investigating him. Until then, that's a much different discussion. She also referred to Zlochevsky by name, and so you see the rest of the email. Sensitive and confidential. Zlochevsky is wanted in Ukraine for crimes related to corruption. Despite his ruin named in Ukraine, Zlochevsky is actively campaigning for public rehabilitation, especially with us. He's been sending letters to different ambassadors for months, and the ambassadors have declined to get involved. I should note that there were two American members of the Burisma board. Guess who they were? Hunter Biden and Devin Archer. Archer was recently indicted in another fraud case. So these guys were just known to be corrupt, and Hunter and Daddy really had no justification for getting rid of Shokin other than to exonerate Burisma. Biden's role in pressuring Poroshenko to fire Shokin, it's been a searing controversy ever since. Hunter was, of course, getting $83,000 a month, and it's just disgusting behavior. So if there is no justification for Shokin to be fired, if he was doing a good job and everybody knows Burisma was corrupt, what else do they need to show Joe was involved in a quid pro quo? Apparently a lot more. Democrats still don't buy it. Here's Connolly saying there's just not enough evidence still.
Steve, it seems pretty obvious that the chairman of your committee, Chairman of the Oversight Committee, Chairman Comer, it appears that he's timing his disclosures about Hunter Biden and his complaints about the Justice Department's handling of the Hunter Biden investigations with Donald Trump's peak criminal events. Is that your sense? And what is your sense of what the end game is for Republicans on the committee?
Or it's the other way around. They're timing their drops with their Trump releases. They're the ones prosecuting Trump. The pattern has always been Comer goes first, something bad happens to Trump. We've had even Newt Gingrich say he got a phone call that after the special counsel was appointed, David Weiss, the Justice Department, was looking pretty dumb. So Big Fanny got the call, accelerate your Georgia prosecution, make sure it gets done on Monday. She did.
Well, obviously, their end game is to try to damage President Biden, but they're not doing a very good job of it.
They're not?
You know, distract, deflect, and dissemble seem to be the three watchwords of the Republican committee members led by Chairman Comer, as well as the Weaponization Select Committee I serve on with Jim Jordan as chairman. They've done a pitiful job of trying to make any case that something untoward has happened and that somebody needs to be impeached or held accountable, like the President of the United States. There is zero evidence
Why do you fire Shokin,
linking President Biden personally to anything, and there's zero.
He literally says on tape that he withheld $1 billion to get rid of a prosecutor for some reason that the State Department said was doing a great job and agreed that they were going to already re-extend that $1 billion. So why do you do that?
Evidence of political interference. Just today, for example, Chairman Comer finally released the transcript of a interview with a senior official who says in the testimony that he's not aware of any political interference and that the dispute at hand wasn't about someone trying to strong-arm him to turn the other way with respect to Hunter Biden. It was a very routine kind of disagreement between the investigator and the prosecutor, which is something that happens in every DA's office, every U.S. attorney's office in the country.
Does the vice president get involved in those every time that happens? In foreign affairs, make specific personnel decisions. I want that person fired because they're leading an investigation into a protected business, and how that corruption doesn't bode well in Ukraine for people who are trying to stop corruption in their country. Of course not. Still no evidence. I'm not sure what it's going to take. I mean, I think even if you did have the check stubs that said Joe Biden, Burisma, and it said, thanks for quashing the prosecution in the memo, I still don't think that'd be enough for them. Well, we'll see if the Republicans do anything about it. Byron Donald says, yeah, we're working on it. Hang tight.
What House Republicans are going to do, we're going to finish our investigation, because all the information that has come forward that has frankly made the Department of Justice look like an outfit actually obstructing justice on behalf of the Biden Biden family has come from the House Oversight Committee and the House Judiciary Committee and House Ways and Means. That's how the American people know about all this information. We're going to continue our investigation. I fully expect for the House to start an impeachment inquiry into Joe Biden, because what we are clearly seeing is that Joe Biden has facilitated and allowed his son to be an unregistered foreign agent, shaking down foreign companies for money to the Biden family while they were selling influence of Joe Biden, or should I say Robert L. Peters, or whatever pseudonym he's working under.
Oh, Robert L. Peters. That's President Biden. What do you need a pseudonym for if you're doing everything above board with Hunter and Burisma and all of these other entities? Obviously, more connections are going to continue to be revealed. We've got new pseudonyms. We know that the Oversight Committee is investigating foreign businesses and foreign bank accounts. And Byron Donald says the investigation is onward. The new State Department memos even say, what's the justification for getting rid of Shokin? We know what it was. Biden covering up for Hunter and providing value for Hunter's $1 million annual salary for nothing.